Yep. What's happening, people? What's happening? Happy Cyber Monday to you all. It's going to be a good one today. You all, I got some stuff to tell you. Stuff, man. Stuff. But in between time, while I am hooking things up and looking at the live chat, George said, UA. Larry Davis, what's up, brother? You look rather new to the live stream. Good to see you here. I'm just getting some technical things worked out. And as soon as I do, we will get it on and popping. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. Let me pop out that chat and now we're good. Okay. Yes, sir. So, how is everyone doing? I'm doing good today. It's a great day. And it was a crazy weekend too. So let's start with our Mr. Smooth. Can't wait to see what I got. Yeah, man. And UA and Apogee. Okay. All right. DJ, I got 5 on Apogee. My brother, the black. Hey, yo, y'all gotta say what's up to Black Drum Hippie. This guy is killing on drums. You gotta check out his YouTube channel also. But it's all good. It's all good, man. It's been a minute, my man. I haven't seen you around, so it's good to see that you're on the live stream today. Yes. And DJ MVP, what's up, man? Yeah, I got my laptop to my left, and I'm on a lapel today. Last week, the audio was a little questionable, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on the level today. Yeah, man, I'm trying to work with this lapel, trying to, get high tech and stuff, man. I got to drive. What? You cutting out on the brother? Yo, man, you supposed to hang around for the live stream, man. You're going to miss all the goodness and mercy now, so going to have to check back, man. But I'm going to take y'all through the steps, man, because this was crazy. What happened, the way it went down was like absolutely crazy. Well, most of y'all already knew that I was, going for an upgrade to start out with. Did the studio, was a little concerned about what interface, or I should say, not to use the word ecosystem, I was going to get into. Now, I wasn't getting away from Pro Tools because that's the standard. Y'all know how I feel about that. So I have to use Pro Tools because everybody that I work with or come in contact with on, doing professional work, they need that. So not working with it would be like, as they say, cutting off your nose to spite your face. Excuse me while I take a sip. 1 second. And yeah, man. So, John, you said my levels are hot. Okay, yeah, all right. Let me get this straight, man. I don't know. I guess it's this lapel, It's you can't find a sweet spot with it. I'm trying to. Last week it was too low. This week is too high. I think I better go back to using a. I'll keep an eye on the level, but using a mic as I normally do because this is getting crazy. I can't talk too low, then it's too low, and then too loud, I'm too loud, and brother, get loud in a minute, so. But it's all good. John, I'm glad that you're here too, man. Forever Lows, what's up, man? George Thompson, turned the gain down on the lapel. Okay, I turned it down. I'm in the green now. This is one of these lapels by the company Polson. It's not a very expensive one. It's battery operated, but nevertheless, I guess it works. It sounds good because I've used it before. I guess it's not for, every purpose, and I'll just try and keep it, the volume to a minimum, but I will double check and look back and forth just to make sure that everything is straight. So listen, so let's weigh in. How's everyone's weekend been? How was Thanksgiving? And let's get it on and popping. You know, fill a brother in, fill a brother in. Because I don't want to get into it unless y'all say get into it, because y'all just want to know. But it's been good though. And I hope everyone stayed safe. So I'll give everybody a minute to get settled, and then I'm gonna jump into my spiel and just begin to tell you. But yeah, it has been quite a decision-making process for me, because like I said, I couldn't get away from Pro Tools, and just had to make a decision. But the way this particular decision went down and how quickly it did, it had been evolving over time. I'm not going to say that it hasn't been. This is like a the final decision is based on a 3-year interaction with this equipment and with people I know that have used this particular equipment. Only Christopher, I know it's just Wallace, big bro. Okay. Okay. Got you. George Thompson said it's good. Okay. George, you want to know if it's carbon? It could be. It could be. It could be. It could be. I'm going to get into it in a minute. But yeah, this whole process was like about 3 years in the making. And it was crazy how I came to this conclusion, because someone in the live stream suggested to me that Mr. Bobby says Spencer's killing me. What you get? Hey, I can't give it away too soon, my brother. You're gonna have to hang on for a second, you know. But I just want you all to understand how I came to this point, you know. And what was I just saying about this? One of you on the live stream had mentioned this company to me that I had totally forgotten about, you know, and I was like, oh, let me just give them a look. And then a friend of mine also who works extensively with this equipment, you know, had did some records that I heard, and I was like, oh, okay. So let's jump right into it, being as some of y'all can't wait, but I had totally forgotten about this company and then was reminded by one of you. I was looking for the actual message so that I could show it. I couldn't find it. I know it was probably on the HD video that I did. So I couldn't find the message. So without further ado, who did not make the cut? Who didn't make the cut? Contestant number 1 was Pro Tools HDX or HD Native. Did not make the cut. Why? I just couldn't, y'all. I couldn't. I had a limited budget, and I didn't want to get too crazy for it, because I'm still doing a renovation and I had to factor wiring into this thing, and I knew Lucas Jr., what's up, man? Oh, it's good to see you. Good to see you. It's more sleeping in the studio. It looked like it, right? Man, I'll tell you, it's been a journey. But yeah, I didn't want to have to do a lot of wiring. Wiring a patch bay and having to wire for a brand new system from the ground up was going to be a pain in the behind. And to upgrade for using my current HD system as collateral, they were only giving me like pennies. And I was going to have to spend about, what was the final cost I think I came up with? $7,000 for this system. That's one HDX card, the interface, and Pro Tools Ultimate, which is apparently, I guess, the perpetual version of Pro Tools. I couldn't spend $7 grand. I spent like over Jesus, like you all know, like I've been telling you for the last, I mean, I've made the money back, don't get me wrong. And I'm sure that I could do it again if I had to, focus on, okay, well, I got an HD system now. Let me make this thing work for this. But we're in a different place. I'm in a different place from a business perspective as well as from a financial perspective due to COVID. So I couldn't justify that expense outright. So unfortunately, y'all, Pro Tools HDX and HD Native did not make the cut. Who else did not make the cut? Focusrite Red Pro series, the RedNet series, the Red 8, the analog 16, and the digital 16 did not make the cut. Okay? Why? I don't know. It just seems like and I know Focusrite makes good equipment. Don't get me wrong. Please, don't get me wrong. I didn't want to have to relearn anything from the ground up. And there weren't very many people that I knew that were using the Focusrite equipment in New York that I could talk to and get some feedback from. So unfortunately, it works great with the software. I wasn't worrying about the ability to interface it with Pro Tools. I wasn't concerned from that perspective, but I was concerned about whether or not it was reliable equipment, from a pro user here in New York. I had no one I could, draw any inspiration or information from. So unfortunately, y'all, Focusrite did not make the cut. Okay. So who else didn't make the cut? Now y'all gonna be surprised by this one, but unfortunately, UA did not make the cut. Why? As much as I loved Universal Audio's equipment, a couple of things killed it for me with them. The type of music I was doing, which was more acoustic, not to say that their converters aren't great, that their equipment isn't great, which it is, the whole ecosystem. You all know I love Universal Audio and everything that they do with regards to the company, with regards to them standing by what they are making, etc., etc., etc. The reason why I didn't choose them was, I think the primary reason, again, there weren't very many users in New York that I could draw from that were doing the type of music that I do, that were involved in acoustic music primarily, be it jazz, classical, or whatever have you. And also I noticed that their converters had a particular sound which lent itself very well to R&B, hip hop, pop, and I didn't want to have to get into the using the two interface situation with the mixer, having to sit on top of Pro Tools and having to navigate maybe now 3 screens. Having had to do that before with Logic, it was creating a workflow issue for me, so I was trying to minimize that. Also with UA, it became cost prohibitive in that I think that particular 16-channel unit was going to cost me some more money now, and I didn't want to have to, come out of my pocket with too much and not have enough left over to do maybe wiring or other incidental things that we oftentimes overlook, when we're doing upgrades. So unfortunately, UA, as much as I love y'all, I couldn't, install it in the new spot. So who made the finals? Contestant number 1 that made the finals, Lynx Aurora, which is installed at Sears Sound here in New York, is a killing interface. Killing. interface. My buddy Otis Brown III. That's me and him. OB on the right. I'm on your left. And that's Otis Brown's record. If you haven't heard The Thought of You, which has some killing musicians on Blue Note Records, you need to check it out. Otis Brown is one of the most killingest drummers. He plays Esperanza Spalding. He has a who's who of who he played with in jazz. A great guy, great person, man. One of the most humblest dudes you ever want to bump into. He did his last record at Sear Sound. I had a chance to hear it and firsthand, and love the sound that Lynx converters have. Love it. Crystal clear. And knowing Lynx and their history with clocking technology, which was very, very important to me, I was like, this has to be one of the finalists. Okay, so that's one choice that's sitting on the shelf right now. Another one that made the finals is Apogee Symphony. Okay, why Apogee? The converters sound absolutely stunning on acoustic instruments. I don't know, it's like euphoric. It was like crazy. The first time I ever heard some jazz being played over Apogee converters, and there's a guy here. You all know that I was working with last year with Berta Moreno and her trio, and her last record was mixed by Dave Darlington. Okay, he's one of the top mixers in the business. I reached out to him. I was like, yo, what are you using? Apogee. I saw Bob Clearmountain at AES. He was like, Apogee all the way. I heard it myself firsthand. I was like, okay, Apogee. Okay, so those are my top two. The Lynx Aurora and Apogee. Okay? Which did I choose? Okay? Keeping y'all in suspense, right? Y'all like, come on, man, come on, man. Which did I choose? I'm going to start out with who I did not choose first, okay? I did not choose Apogee, unfortunately. The cost associated with the upgrade, I might as well have just went out and brought a Pro Tools HDX system, because to put those cards in that Symphony Mark II, that was like a $5,000+ upgrade. So I'm saying to myself, well, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I might as well keep going and get the HDX system and then be done, which was going to be about $7,000 to $9,000. Okay? Did the Lynx Aurora make it? I'm going to have to tell you guys, which did I choose? I chose Antelope. When I tell you, like, oh snap, how'd you get to that point? About 2.5 to 3 years ago, I reached out to Tony Shepard. I was like, yo, man, your records are killing. He was one of the reasons why I got into HD to start out. Tony Shepard, you don't know who he is, you need to look him up. One of the top mixers in the business. And he's the reason why I got into the HD system to start out with. Some of the stuff that I heard him do. But I heard him do something with this guy, Ray Davis and Shalia, are two that was on his label. He's running a label out in California. And the detail in his records was like crazy. Crazy. So I asked him what he was using. He told me he was using Antelope equipment. I'm like, I always knew that they made clocks. But this weekend, I happened happened to hear this stuff up close and personal. And I was stunned. I was stunned so much so that I ran out the next day and bought the Orion 32 in all of its beautiful beautiness. And today, folks, you want me to say, Luke, I had an Orion. You have to be careful. Bulgarian is very hard if you have a problem 3 hours on the phone. I've heard those stories, and I understand. I took a risk. Now I'm going to tell you the reason why I took a risk in a minute before I unbox. They were one of the few companies, and the reason why I didn't go with the Lynx was for this reason. Lynx, as configurable as it was, to have it configured so that it worked exactly the way I wanted it was going to cost me a fortune. The same like the Apogee. I've had my share of companies that have poor. I don't know if you remember the Cram. I'm not calling Cranborn before y'all start sending me hate mail. I'm not saying they had poor customer service, but I've had very expensive equipment that I've purchased from international companies that have poor tech support. My due diligence and talking to top people in the business led me to this decision for that reason. Orion, Antelope rather, they have great website contact in terms of, if you look at all of the others, you know, like a who's who of who's using your equipment. And I think the endorsement for me came two ways. Way number one, Tony Shepard, knowing the work that he's done with Antelope equipment, and hearing it firsthand and absolutely being floored by the quality of the conversion. There was a depth. You all hear me talk about depth a lot. Their clocking technology is what they're known for, like Apogee, you know, and Lynx. These are companies that understand the damming effect of jitter on your signal, which means they're going to pay doubly close and careful attention to the clock. So all of those led me to that decision. But hearing it was what I was like stunned. When I will tell you guys about the front to back and side to side 360 dimensionality of a system, I haven't heard this since this level of depth since working, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here, since working technically with recorders, tape. So as much as I love UA, and as much as the kids that I come in contact with will push it, is as much as my point of reference, having done this for as long as I have, is back to what's going to give me the front to back, left and right dimension that I'm looking for. And Orion gave it to me. So let's unbox this beauty. And let me get this out. And let me see if I can. So what do you all think? Did I keep you in suspense long enough? Tell me what you think in the comments, because I would like to know. Okay, let me get something to... I'll be right back. I thought I had my... I'm gonna have to use a makeshift. Thought I had my blade handy. I don't see it. So let me get here. Okay, that's one side. And here she is. So let's take her out. I'm going to go through the specs with you guys in a minute. and further reinforce the reason why. Guys, I'm sorry. Give me a minute. Let me go get a cuchillo for my Hispanic brother, and you'll know. Cuchillo. I'll be right back. Gotta take this off. You thought I'd have come ready, right? Hang on a second. Okay, I'm back. Now I got cuchillo. That is knife in Spanish for my non-Spanish speaking brethren. All right, so here we go. Now I'm ready. Here we go. All right, so I got that side on. Let me cut this side. All right, and they did a great job of packaging it. I hope it lives up to its height, in my place at least. And I'll get into the reason why. You have to buy a lot of D-sub cables. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Lucas Jr. said I have to buy a lot of D-sub cables. I'm very aware of that, which is one of the reasons why I chose it. All right, here's one side. Here's the other side, popping it off. Here we go. Yes. Yes. All right. All right. So let's go. We have U.S. warranty card. A getting started guide. And so Lucas, tell me, are you an Orion user? Everybody say what's up to Nate. He's one of the youngsters that pops through that I talk about. And here she is in all of her glory. Got some weight too. Let's take her out the plastic. She is stunning. Stunning. There you go, boys and girls. An Orion 32. Third gen with AFC clocking technology. And I heard this thing and was turned out. The last time that happened, it was not in a positive way. It was because I had crashed the computer and I was on a Windows platform in the middle of a project for a client, and the computer crashed. The next day, I said, I will never work in Windows again. I went out and bought a Mac. I haven't looked back since that time. Now, let's talk about why, from a technical perspective, I chose this particular unit. Point number one, 32 channels in and out is sick. For $3,000, 32 channels in and out. Took care of my channel count problem because I needed it to be able to interface with my patch bay. Now, Lucas Jr. had just said, oh, well, it has D subs. If you have ever had to wire up a patch bay, this, boys and girls, is a welcome addition. It's a headache. This simplifies, and if you're using a TT patch bay, it's even better because all you have to do is desub it, normal it, or half normal it on a professional patch bay. Your wiring problems are done for the day. Now, its connectivity is USB and Thunderbolt. There was no other, without spending extra money for the cards, there was no way I was going to get both levels of connectivity with at that price point. That wasn't going to happen. The ability to connect it to an external clock. Now, one of the things I've been considering, and you all know that I've been saying this for a while, is moving more in the digital domain in terms of delivery and high-res files going to iTunes and Spotify. This will allow me now to, if I'm clocking several digital devices in the studio, this allows me now to have a master clock that could send the same signal and line everything up perfectly in the place for digital transfer, whether I'm using my old Apogee converters or not. The ability to word clock everything solves a litany of headaches, especially if you're working in video. So that problem is out of the way. SPDIF out, a separate monitor out. Now, here was the kicker. The dynamic range on the monitor out was greater than 130 decibels. I was like, wow, that was up there with what UA, which was why I was looking at the UA 16 channel unit. The dynamic range coming out of that thing was great, you know, so it was a no-brainer from that perspective. I have ADAT optical in and out. Again, more facility to connect with other units in the studio. And just by and large, man, it just looks great. It's future-proof because of Thunderbolt. It gives me an opportunity to use my current system without having to go out and buy another computer, which was something I had to factor into the budget, especially if I was going to use Pro Tools HD or HD Native or HDX. I was going to be up for a new computer because I have an old Mac Pro. But I also have a Hackintosh, which I can use with this, as well as my laptop, which will fill in the blank to allow me to get my feet wet with it to see if I really like it. I got 30 days. Y'all know how I feel. If I don't like something in my place, I have to hear it in my studio. After 30 days, it goes back. If it doesn't work for me or work for my workflow, which I think this will, and I'm going to tell you the final reason why, it goes back if it doesn't. But here's the overarching thing. Because you have 32 in and 32 out, and all of the technology lines up with every major manufacturer's in their category, they're the same configuration and the same features set in terms of this new thing called FPGA, which I'm going to do an actual review about it because I was doing some research on that and I'm finding out that that is a bit of a horsepower chip. And I'll fill you all in on that in future videos. But the biggest selling feature of this unit was the fact that it has a digital matrix built into the software that technically I could eliminate my patch bay, patch all of my hardware in here, use the digital patch bay that they offer, and swap in and out like that with zero latency. I thought that was sick. Crazy. Now, will I use it in that way? Maybe yes, maybe no. But the fact that they offered it on that level with 32 ins and outs and the ability to have the 64 channels run through a Thunderbolt cable, which is technically PCI as we knew it, PCIe as we knew it, over that little cable. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And then I heard the thing and it was like, oh, snap. And what pushed it over the edge was some work that Tony Shepard had done and with Shalia Frazier. And I was like, that's it. That's the sound. That's the sound. Barring anything else, he was like, he really believes in analog equipment and he's a pro. I trust him. He's the reason why I got into HD in the beginning. One of the mixers that I was talking to in terms of direction, counsel before I went with the HD system. And I trust his judgment. And now it's a chance for me to get it. I got 30 days. If it works with my workflow, which all indicators. This works great with Pro Tools. It should work, you know, in a not so obtuse way like UA might with the 3, with me having to do everything through the console. You know, I have a particular way I would like to work, so this can be a set and forget thing. Not that I would use the powered plugins that UA has to offer as much as I thought. That was another reason why I didn't choose the UA platform, because I've had virtually every plugin known to man, and I've been down plugin junkie central, and I'm not going that way anymore. I just needed something that had that front to back depth and the clarity and the musicality that I was looking for in a converter. I needed something with a very stable clock, you know, and that was important to me. You all know Lynx, Apogee, these are clock companies. They were into that business before they were into making interfaces. So I knew that, you know, the Antelope and Lynx, as well as Apogee, had the clocking technology down. So, you know, it got down to, well, what was going to function and work best in my place with minimal amount of whatever. This one. And after hearing it, I was sold, you know, and went out the next day, and that was the quickest $3,000 I ever spent in my life. I'm gonna be honest with you. But with that in mind, the floor is now open for questions. Questions. This was a very welcome surprise, to be honest with you. Very welcome surprise. I can't wait to install her. 1 unit. Do you see? I'll see how many interfaces I HDMI. I got 2 96 IOs. Those eat up 2 rack spaces apiece, and a sync IO. That's 1. To be able to stick all of that in, and some, all of that connectivity in terms of the HD interfaces and some in the little 1 unit box was a no-brainer. Desubbing everything, not having to plug cables and just screw it in, put it into the patch bay, and you're done. And you can route internally in their own internal digital matrix. I was done. I was done. Yes. Nate, you said welcome. Nate, listen, I didn't know you were running Antelope. Yep. Nate said when you use the Lang EQ, it's over. I've heard that. I've done some research about that. I've heard a lot of people say it was you know, quite something to listen to. So, John, let's jump into some comments, man. I've been blabbing long enough. I'm as happy as a lark right now, and this should interface well. The only thing I have to worry about right now is making sure that I take very good care of my workflow going forward in terms of monitoring back for the performers, which I think I might remedy that by using an outboard mixer again. That's a possibility. I was talking to Dave Darlington, and I asked him what he was using, and he was like, all of his routing comes back in through you can get a cheap Yamaha board, and I'm just using it for not mixing, but for you know, just hearing, you know, the playback as well as performance cues. So once I take care of the cue mix situation, I'll still be using my Furman system. And once that's taken care of, the latency is not an issue for me. I don't have to worry about round trip, you know, I don't have to worry about the signal round tripping so that the performers can get their perspective straight. So that problem is solved. You know, I know how to get around that. But let's look at some comments real quick. And let's jump back. Oh, Nathan, yo, for show, says, can I get a quick recap? Yes. Quickly, I wound up going with Antelope as the company, and I purchased an Orion 32 Plus 3rd generation unit. And Mr. Morpheus, let's get with some really good comments because I have to I bet you word. Lucas says, congratulations. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. And John, here's another one. John said the FPGA plugins too. Yeah, I heard some good things about them. Philip French says it's a power move. It's risk, bro. I tell you, that's the quickest $3,000 I ever spent. Now, I don't gamble. I am not a gambler. I ain't gonna be throwing my money out there. I was listen, to be honest with you all, I was content with just staying with Pro Tools. I mean, I was kicking and screaming. You know, I had to buy the subscription because of a live project that I did recently, which required me to have, you know, 8 channels plus of audio and video. I had a laptop that I thought I could run my Pro Tools 10, which I paid for on it. Turns out no, because I was on Sierra, and it died. I mean, High Sierra. So it turns out Pro Tools 10 was not good after, I think it was whichever one was before Sierra. So I had to go out and spend more money. Philip French says, yeah. Okay, here's a good one. Philip French says, I swear by Antelope, and I've been a fan ever since the Aardvark Q10. Yes, me too. That's why I was like, it was funny that I had lost touch with them as being like, yo, they were one of the top clocking companies. And then just the whole thing just unfolded. Me remembering somebody mentioning it, me remembering like, okay, yeah, they were a clocking company. Then talking, you know, well, corresponding with Tony Shepard, and he was like, I'm using Antelope. I was like, oh wow, you know, Shalia's record sounded great. And Ray Davis was another guy that he was like, Antelope all the way. And I was like, well, let me give him a look. And then I heard it, and yeah, and Michael Brower, he's another one. These guys, man, you got to hear these records of these people. Go on Antelope's page and listen to some of this stuff. Be prepared to be floored. I'll let you know, because what I'm going to do to test it, I'm going to take some old material and records that I've worked on and save them as current Pro Tools files, pull it into my current Pro Tools laptop system, and then I'll tell you if it's, you know, living up to the hype. But let's jump down. Yes, Nate said the conversion is on point. Mervin Reho. Okay, Mervin, you look new, man. I'm glad you're here, brother. It says, hello, Warren. I have over 14 years working with audio. Do you think I might have something wrong when this time I can't discern the difference between devices or preamp? No, listen, I know this is a little off topic. Reach out to me because I want to stay on point with what we're talking. Reach out. Let's dialogue. Go to the About page and let's talk. Do I think that the only way you can learn something is by spending time with it. It's just like a relationship. You know, you learn things by going through something. So if you spent 14 years, you have to ask yourself, what have I been spending 14 years doing, and what might be missing? And it doesn't mean that you don't know, or you might not know. And I don't know the depth of your question, but if you want to share in a private setting, reach out to me, man, because I get a lot of questions like this all the time. So anytime, bro, anytime, just reach out. The email is on the About page. Let's dialogue, okay? So Lucas Jr. says, Mr. Morgan said, you bugging, no apogee? I couldn't. You got to be able to be honest with you got to be able to justify. When you're a business person, you got to be able to justify spending that money. And for me, I wanted to come in under $5,000. $5,000 is relatively easy for me to make back. Anything greater than that in these times is dangerous. You know, I could get that back kind of quick, you know, just based on a few projects, you know, but anything greater than that, it's like, no. But yeah. Okay, Lucas Jr. says the best converters in the world, Apogee and Prism. Prism is another one I was looking at, but they were another one. RedNet is expensive. George Thompson says RedNet is expensive. And I would have to agree. Unfortunately, when I was, as a matter of fact, Barry D, you guys look him up. As a matter of fact, I executive produced and produced records with Barry in the past. And we were both talking about it because we wanted our studios to be able to interface, and the whole audio over Ethernet sounded really great. But then I had to think to myself, bandwidth, you know, what if the line goes down going out the house from the cable company? Nightmare stories that started playing in my head. I was like, nope, sorry, can't do it. But it doesn't mean that, excuse me, it doesn't mean that Focusrite's equipment is substandard. It is not. I am a Focusrite card carrying lover. Okay, so yeah. Okay. Ecosystem of UA is way too addicting. This is what Lucas Jr. said. That's true. Avid is expensive. Yes, sir. Once you drop that money initially, I don't know. It's just that it's hard to keep giving them money like that. I'm sorry, man. I paid a whole lot of money for that system back there. That's why I haven't upgraded. Because now you can get these HD systems on eBay for next to nothing. And who wants to pay, you know, get $300 measly dollars for something you paid $15K for? Not me. I'd rather ride the rails off of it, as they say. So let's jump and let's go for it. Mr. Pirate Brain says my volume is low again. I hope not, because, oh man, I said I would keep an eye on the level. So Cajun Catfish 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a good name, brother. I'm glad you are here. You all let me know if I'm clipping or not right now. And I'm glad you are here. Unique the Poet said Apogee. Unfortunately, no. Okay, let's jump forward. Okay, Lucas Jr. raised another good point. The atomic clock. I think maybe next to... No, they're definitely one of the top 3. I'm just trying to go back in my head, like whenever I popped into someone. I remember Lynx vividly, because when I used to work at John Aschenbrenner's studio with David Merrill. John, he's a composer for the soaps in New York. Well, he was once upon a time when I was a kid. He's much older now. But yeah, I remembered Lynx because he would use a Lynx system to connect 2 24-track machines, which had a crystal quartz oscillator which would control the capstans on the machines. If one capstan was spinning too fast, it would slow it down to catch up with the other machine in time code. So yeah, you all let me know what the volume is like here. Lucas Jr., I bet you're very proud. You work a lot for that. Yeah, you know, I'm cheap too. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. Like I said, the last time I spent this kind of money, and like I said, these times don't allow for you to spend or justify spending that kind of money on an interface. I'm not worried about making the money back. It's just that, you know, it'll be kind of creative. I have to change my workflow in terms of what I'm doing. I can't do passion projects, you know, like I would like. Now I have to legitimately get back out and, you know, look for production work, record work, and, you know, whereby you could, I could pick and choose, you know, my work a little bit more before. Now I have to not be so choosy and put the passion projects on the back burner a bit and focus on making this money back. So yeah, man. At the Source Studios, yes, sir. Good, man. I'm glad to see you are here, man. I'm glad that you are here, and I appreciate your comment this afternoon as well. Okay, let's jump. It's clipping. Lucas Jr. says I'm clipping a lot. I'm clipping a lot. This is the last. This is the last week on this lapel. I promise you all that much. I can't find a sweet spot with it. It doesn't have a sweet spot, and it's starting to annoy me. And anytime equipment starts to annoy me, it gets chucked. So this is about to become history. I'm not gonna even be bothered with this thing no more because it's starting to become a pain in the behind now. I thought I was trying to get high tech. I guess I'm a little low tech, so I ain't got no time for this. No patience. No patience. Yeah, he said turn it down. I'm sorry, y'all. It's this stupid lapel. I'm sorry. So you're gonna have to whoa, you're clipping a lot. Yeah. I'm sorry, man. Yeah. All right. Hopefully now it's good. Okay. Yeah. I'm no, you said go to the middle. That's what I'm saying. With this little cheap $30 lapel, which is battery operated, which it works good in just general spoken word situations. It's just that right now, I'm trying to find a sweet spot both on the body as well as, volume wise, and I'm not on the I'm on this little Focusrite interface, so it's giving me a bit of a challenge, to say the least. What would that result? George Thompson asks, what would that result in reduced jitter? If you're talking about clocking, yes. Anytime your samples, whenever a sample is being recorded, of course we're not using on tape, but if this were tape and this were time, and your samples have to be lined up perfectly. Now we have 44 in the baseline situation, 44,000 samples per second. So, if they're lined up perfectly because of the clock, you have clarity. Anything less than a perfectly lined up sample might give you circumstances of jitter. And jitter manifests itself as like phase, and it becomes a pain in the behind because you're saying to yourself, like, if you were recording drums, like, okay, I know I phase a line and I double checked for phase when I was recording, it went down right, but the playback of it clock is what's causing the issue. So what it on the digital to analog conversion, maybe the clock is mistiming what it's giving back to you, which is causing you to have a jacked up stereo field, and the imaging and becomes a little smeared sounding. And anytime you overload a interface that is incapable of handling that amount of information rapidly, it will start to distort and manifest itself as like a phasing issue or smearing of your stereo image. You won't have the clarity. So what these companies like Antelope and Apogee, as well as Prism, they're clocking tech companies that have incorporated the audio aspect later on. And early adopters were Apogee and I think Prism. But as time has gone on, Antelope has entered into the game. And therefore, now matching a great clock, with a great sounding high dynamic range interface, you can't miss. That's why if you get a chance, listen to Apogee stuff. Even the Element, I heard the Apogee Element and I was like stunned at the clarity. And Bob Claremont was like, oh yeah, you're going to get quality. But I know I wanted a pro level interface and something that would work well and give me the ability to have the best of both worlds coming right out of the gate in terms of minimal upgrade of computers, etc., etc., etc. I did not want that headache. That offered that to me right off the bat. So, yeah, clocking is indispensable. Okay, guys, keep letting me know if the volume is okay. Okay, so let's jump down. Here's at the source. I run a Behringer ADA 8200 for ADAT expansion. It's decent, but the output is real low. Just a little inconvenience to adjust, but then it's cool. Okay, I guess you're talking about the I heard that Behringer as well, and I was kind of shocked. I'm gonna be honest with you, at the quality. It wasn't great quality, but it was like wow. I guess I didn't expect that from them as a company, but they, I guess as they continue to develop products, they'll continue to, up their game in this area as well. So, let's jump that. Now I'm too low. Links for life. Oh God. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix this situation. I don't know. I'm hoping that I can just go up a little bit more and continue to make these adjustments on the fly. So forgive me, folks, if it's too low, man. I promise you this will not happen next week. This will not happen next week. All right. All right. Hopefully that's better. I'm looking at the meters and I don't know. Maybe it's the battery. Here we go. All right. Hopefully this is a little bit better. Let me go down just a skosh. This is becoming annoying. So I'm not too low. Okay. Well, I'm gonna trust you all judgment. Just in the comments, just let me know. All right. Let's jump back. Okay. Mr. Pirate Brain said, use the lid mic. I know, but I didn't want to have to, hook up all this stuff because my setup has changed a bit. So, yeah, it's all good for right now, I guess. I'll just keep it on this level right now. So look what you did. Look what I did. Okay, what did I do, Nathaniel? Too loud. Too loud. Now you're too low, you were fine. Chris Scott, y'all gonna have to bear with it, brother. I'm going to text for some help in a minute. But yeah. Let me move this up a bit. I promise you all this will never happen again. Ever, 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 ever. Let me know how this works out. All right. So now, it's like you're talking into a tin can. Unless you whisper. Hang on a second. This is crazy, man. I don't know if it's the battery or what. But in any event, yeah. I don't have my mic down here. Nor the stand. It's in the studio. So unfortunately, any further questions? I'll hold this right here. Any further questions? It's a little bit quiet, but man, on the phone and door storing. Oh, if you're on the phone, okay. All right. I promise you all, like I said, this will not happen again next week. This is terrible. This is terrible. 1 second. I'm a text for some help in a minute. Any further questions? At the source, I know you have some analog gear, right? Yes, I do. Tons of it. Studio touring coming up. Yes. Yes, it is. That's shortly. The dilemma with that is that I still have some more construction that needs to be done, wiring primarily, because I ripped the panel connectors that connected the live room to the control room, you know, out, and now the wiring is still in the wall, but I have to bring the wiring from out the wall into a panel. So it's a matter of, you know, like I said, when you got to solder and wire up panel connectors and all this other stuff, that's a whole other animal, man. And it costs money. That's one thing people don't factor. You know, when you're upgrading a studio, you can't do an upgrade without to wire this thing. I think I calculated the cost at approximately about $450. That's for D-sub connectors, wires, $450. So yeah, that's quite a an expense that is oftentimes overlooked, you know, when you're doing an upgrade. Okay, and let's see. Had I looked into Crane's song Solaris for D to A, Avalon Major? No, I have not. You see, when I'm buying gear, you know, it's like I approach it like this, and this is what I suggest that you all do as well. It doesn't make sense to buy from a company that is not steeped in the most important areas of focus when it comes to you and what you're trying to get done audio wise. What do I mean? And I'll give you two examples. The reason why it makes sense for me to look at Apogee, Lynx, and Antelope first is because I know the importance of a clock, which is why in my HD system, I wound up buying a Sync IO because I didn't want to daisy chain all of these interfaces together, and I needed a central clock to control the entire system and some. If I had to, you know, use offline video, I needed LTC, you know, and I needed, if I want to do MIDI time code, I needed something that could sync to MIDI time code. You know, I needed all of these features because, you know, and there's only a few companies out there that got it down to a science. Apogee, Lynx, as well as Antelope, they were the bellwethers. So who do you want taking the last shot of an important game? Michael Jordan. They were the Michael Jordans of what they do. You know what I mean? So that's why I went there first in terms of like final decisions. You know, UA makes some great stuff. Don't get me wrong. They're pretty new to the game in terms of that overrocking technology, and they're playing the game hard. The whole Pro Tools Carbon system looks good, but it didn't have the necessary IO I needed. You know what I mean? So, and I was already in the Pro Tools ecosystem. So it was like, oh, well, let me just jump at that. But it didn't have the necessary IO. So I didn't bother with that. So got down to features as well as who were the guys? Apogee, Lynx, as well as Antelope were the top ones for clocking. And I knew that, and Prism, of course, but Prisms are very, very expensive converters. And I even looked at and was impressed with the quality of the Dangerous equipment, Dangerous music equipment as well. So, yeah. So let's jump forward. Yeah, it was like I had to, you know, go with somebody I knew had rock solid clocking technology. And barring budget, I think the best that came in at budget for me was Antelope. Okay, so let's jump forward. Lucas Jr., the question of gods, $3,000 on an Orion or $3,000 on acoustic treatment? I go with acoustics first. Because again, it gets back to $3,000 in a bad sounding room is just a great sounding interface in a poor sounding room. You're not going to get the goodness and the true stereo imaging and bass management, which is one of the primary problems in mixing that you're going to need to turn out quality product for iTunes and Spotify. So acoustic treatment comes above and beyond, you know. And again, it's not as expensive as one would think. So spending $3,000 on acoustic treatment, you're going to have a very nice sounding room. Jason Martin, where am I located? New York, New York. A heck of a town. The Bronx is up, but the battery is down. Youngsters don't know that one. But yeah, New York, New York. So nice they said it twice. John says, I'm going to be happy with the Orion. I'm with my... Oh, John, I didn't know you were using an Orion. Good, 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 good. Yeah, yeah. All right. And so Dell Mixed It says, I'm not going HD native. No, 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 I'm sorry. I can't keep giving Digi my money like that. I have a friend of mine, very well respected, multiple award-winning producer, and every iteration of whatever Digi design, I keep calling him Digi, whatever Avid comes out with, he goes out and buys it. I'm not going to keep it. Nah, they pimping people as far as I'm concerned. Too much money. Too much money. The equipment don't make your stuff sound no better than UA's or anybody else for that matter. You know, God forbid if they become stingy and make their software closed source again. You know, they realized that making the Pro Tools open source was the way to go because everybody understood their technology. UA understood Avid's technology to the degree that it was like, hey, we can make this. We got enough money for research and development. We can hire the best engineers. We could compete with you. So what are they going to do? Compete with them. You know? Mr. Morpheus says, in that case, Antelope 10MX will change my life. Yeah, I heard that clock too. Yeah. I'm telling you, I can't wait to get this thing and cut some tracks on it. Then I'll be able to really tell you the real deal. Let's jump forward. Okay. At the Source Studio says the KT2A is fantastic. Don't own the 76, though I have the Warm Audio one, which is nice too. Okay, let me just address that for a minute. Because I was watching some videos where people were kind of, you know, having a negative opinion about Clark Technics versions as well as Warms. And it's coming from this place. This is how I look at it. When you're looking at a schematic, if you can copy the schematic, you can make the same thing. It may not be the exact same level of pristine audio quality, but that gets down to the components you're putting in it. So as long as you obtain the schematic for making one of these units, anybody can, which by virtue makes Warm Audios as well as Clark Technics units sound decent. So does it get the job done? If it gets the job done, then it's the best tool at the moment. How they pimp it? Yeah, I'm telling you, man. You drop that money. You drop that money. That's a $15,000 lap dance back there. I ain't giving them no more money. I ain't that. That was way too much money. Nope. No, I ain't made out of money. So, most important thing out of all of this, how does it translate in the real world? Yes. Yes. And if you, I know a lot of guys follow some of the top mixers on certain channels on YouTube, but here's the true test, y'all. And this is, when I'm doing client projects, I will always farm it out to a mastering engineer because I'm too close to it. I'm way too close to it. I need to step back from it because it's going out into the world. So if I'm that close to it, I need to move away from it and get a fresh perspective ear-wise on it. which is why I send stuff to mastering. You know, so yeah. Here's another one. Omar Nurse is in the house, y'all. Y'all gotta say what's up to Omar and Nathaniel. Okay, they both have worked with me in the past. You all might have seen Nathaniel in a few of the videos with Berta Moreno's project. So y'all say what's up to these two. I love them. And Jabbar in the Benz. Aha, I like that name. Jabbar in the Benz. Yo, you gotta show me your Benz, brother. What you riding? And let's jump at the source. I did a comparison on a warm bus comp slated. Okay. All right. Omar wants to know what Orion did I pick up. I picked up the 32 plus generation 3. 32 ins, 32 outs. Yes. And any further questions? Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. Because this way I can look over here at the Okay, so here's one. This is at the Source Studios. What's your studio setup like, man? Have you done a studio tour? No, I have not. Because, okay, this is why I haven't done the tour yet. My studio will reflect more of a composer's studio going forward for more than one reason. Why? I have to look for more composition work, period. You know, I can no longer pick and choose because of COVID. Passion projects, you know, like stuff I want to do just because I like the person. And even though the money's not there, I like what you do. And I want to, you know, come aboard, you know. So I have to go back to, you know, doing more composing. There's a few people you'll be hearing about in the very near future, a couple of vocalists here in New York that I've reached out to, and we're going to be doing some writing. There's one young man that I'm very, very interested in, and I've worked with him in the past in some off-Broadway production stuff. Fantastic vocalist. I'll mention his name as well in future videos. But these are people that I've either worked with in one capacity or another. People like April Peters, you know, who I've had the opportunity to work with. She was like my go-to demo singer for all of the stuff I was writing for Daryl and Diana Dome and all these other people. But these newer individuals I've worked with in varying capacities outside of the studio, some in off-Broadway productions, others in indirectly through other people's projects that I happen to like how they sound, and I'm interested in doing some writing for. You all, if you go to my community page, you'll see that I'm always writing, always composing, always doing something music related, even though we talk more tech stuff here. You know, music has always been my bread and butter. So I got to get back to work. And that's what it's going to be. The look will be more of a composer's studio, whereby I will have my Sibelius as well as Logic all on one platform, outputting charts and notation for work. Then I'm going to be working with either in Logic going forward into Pro Tools, and you know, vice versa, and in projects, in-house projects, out of the house. You know, I have to get back to doing that, you know, because I got to work. Oh, I know. Okay, let's jump forward. Studio 2. And all right, John Lance. Were your KT2A and 76 worth keeping? This is from John Lance. Yes. I don't know if you're directing that to me or to anyone else in the forum. But yeah, man. As long as the components are good in whatever you are making, you can make this stuff yourself for pennies on the dollar. Resistors are not expensive. Capacitors are not expensive. As long as you know what to source. Excuse my voice going. I'm getting cotton mouth. As long as you know what to source, you will be fine. You can buy kit 1176 kits and put it together for about maybe a couple of $100. It's just a case and components. If you look at the makeup of it, and if you look at the schematic, you can see that it's not that involved. But if you put garbage, as Golden Age has done in the past, and I can attest to that because I worked with their equipment in a professional situation and it crapped out on me on a client gig, okay? So I can attest to that. If you put garbage components in your equipment, it's going to sound like garbage. So, the KT2A as well as the 76 are very worthy pieces. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, it's a tool. Its job is to compress a signal. Nothing more, nothing less. Anybody that wants to debate brand, God bless you. Okay? Okay, so let's jump forward. And John, how long does it take for me to mix a song on average? I don't consider myself a mix engineer, and I know a lot of you youngsters are doing mixing and mastering. Go back to my thing last week and you'll see how I approach it. I'm more of a tracking engineer. What do I mean? I'd rather get it right going in the box because that solves 99% of your problems. If you got it right going in, the record will mix itself pretty much. You know, I know that sounds trite and corny. It's not probably not the answer that you're looking for, but it's true. Why? Because back in the day, you're dealing with tape. Now you guys have an inordinate amount of plugins that you could put on every channel. Back in the day, you had one of everything, maybe one 1176, one LA2A. So you had to print it. You had to get it right there. You had to pick the right mic. You had to pick the right preamp. You had to pick the right compressor. So, you know, if you got it right going in, the record would sound like a record as you're going along. You're setting your levels. And if you were on an SSL or a Neve console that had recall, it's just a matter of recalling the mix. You got it right going in, you're mixing as you're going, as you're developing the record. You know, so it becomes, you know, less time spent during the mix time. That is a question that I would ask someone that would consider themselves a mix engineer, like a friend of mine, Barry D. He considers himself a mix engineer. I'm not. Nathaniel Johnson is a mix engineer. Omar, these are guys that are mix engineers. I consider myself more of a tracking engineer. I'd rather get it right going in, because all the other problems will take care of themselves, you know. Okay, let's jump. Amanda, oh, we have a lady here. Hello, Amanda. Amanda Blackrose. I'm glad that you are here. Okay. I'm looking at an upgrade as well. Have you looked at the Orion Studio Synergy Core? Oh, Amanda, please go and look at some. I don't know who this girl is, but there are so many vocalists that are doing demos on their YouTube page. And this is one girl. I don't know her name. I know she's a session vocalist, killing vocalist. The clarity, because you know I deal with vocals a lot as well. The clarity and the front to back that you get from their equipment is bar none. Definitely check it out. The Synergy Core is the exact competitor to the Carbon system for Pro Tools. You know, in that the processing power, the horsepower is right there in the unit. And it's an all-in-one, and you get the power plugins that you can use with the system. So yeah, I think it's worth looking at. The Synergy Core, definitely. You know, and they have varying iterations of it, from I think a 8-channel unit. I think one unit has 12 channels, another one 2. So it's definitely worth looking at. John 4:15. Your next purchase will probably be a summing mixer, 32 outs from the Orion into the summing mixer. You might be right, and you might be wrong. The reason why I'm thinking or rethinking that, I might go, I've been looking at the MyTech digital converter coming out. Because if this clock sounds that great and I could clock it to like a MyTech, then I'm gonna keep the whole chain digital all the way through. All the way to and through to the final mix. Why? Because it's just going to be pristine all the way through. With this particular unit, I can now use the routing matrix within it to use my hardware gear in real time. That was a big selling point for me. That was huge, because now I don't have to plug anything. I could just plug it directly into the unit, use the digital patch bay in the unit, and have the availability of hardware going out digitally to the mix destination. Indispensable, you know. So, oh, okay, that's your setup. Great, great, man, great. All right, and John Lance. Okay, here's another new face. John, I'm glad you were here, brother. I'm glad to see you. We had one 1176 and 1178, one DBX 65, and Orban reverb. Really? Orban was one of the top broadcasting companies, equipment companies back in the day. And no remote for the 8-track. I was an assistant standing over the machine erasing people's tracks. Man, things have changed. Yes, they have, man. Oh, so you old school like me, man. So you know about rocking the reels? Hey, I got a spot erase nightmare story for you, bro. Okay, y'all youngsters don't know nothing about that. Spot erase nightmare story. Called myself, knowing how to use a grease pencil and pass too much of the tape across the erase head and wiped out the beginning of an entire phrase of a lead vocal. Nightmare. Okay. At the Source Studio says, I don't understand summing mixers. I get the idea, but how to connect confuses me. A summing mixer is pretty much just a mixer. I think the real benefit of the dangerous equipment, I know the selling point is that it warms your sound up, if you will, but the one of the real benefits is their I forget the other unit, not this the summing mixer, but it's a matrix where you can connect several units, hardware units, into it and matrix them within the unit, compressors, equalizers, or whatever have you, and use that in real time with your system. To me, that was a bigger benefit. Most of the people that were using the dangerous equipment were saying that their experience with it was more euphoric than not. Almost like having a sugar pill, like I want to believe that this thing is working for its intended purpose, when in fact it's like just routing your equipment in and out of your DAW, which may be good in certain circumstances. I don't know. I've never used it. I've known people who have had the D-Box and the 16-channel unit as well, and they've been like, okay, this thing isn't doing what I had thought it would do to my sound, so therefore I'm going to sell it. So that has been more often the case than not. Although those that are using it are using, I forget, you guys got to help me with the, I know it's the big box that you could route. It's like almost like their transfer console unit. But with this, you could bring in equalizers as well as the compressors, outboard compressor, hardware gear, and you could matrix them in a way, one before the other, and use that as a return on your DAW, on the mix rather, going back to your DAW, So, I guess it's everyone's mileage varies when it comes to using a summing mixer. But I am very impressed with the 8816 summing mixer by Neve, though. So if you want to look at something that may give you a little bit more clarity, Neve, the 8816 is definitely worth taking a look at. Okay. Any further? Oh, Amanda, you're most certainly welcome, and thank you so much. Everybody, give a shout out to Amanda Blackrose right now, and I want to check out your stuff, you know, and hopefully you got a YouTube channel I could peruse your music. But everybody, give a shout out to Amanda Blackrose for being here. I really appreciate when the lady folk stop by. So, Amanda, thank you so much for being here. Okay, let's jump forward. Oh, John, okay, John, I'm going to revisit with that. I haven't forgotten about that Tascam unit. We're going to talk about that in the near future. Nathaniel, no. Yes, it does. The 8816 has the 88 RS mix bus. Yes, it does. With 2 Carnhill transformers on the output. So I could imagine that's going to fatten your sound. Those Carnhills are definitely a big deal. John, you says your summing mixer gives him more width and more dimension. Okay. Okay. I trust your first-hand user. I would have to get it here and make that call for myself. But if you're using it in that way and you're having a good situation with it, then good for you. Avalon Major. Check some forms. Yeah, you know what? Okay. Avalon, I'm about to say something. But see, I'm tired of getting Cranborn hate mail ever since this Cranborn issue unfolded. But I have opinions. Retailers are in the business of selling equipment, okay? And if anything, and if you're a major player like a B&H or Sweetwater in this case, or back in the day, Sam Ash, you're a major player, you're going to give you know, every unit that comes back for whatever reason on a return, you're going to give the manufacturer the business. You can be like, yo, you dogging out my situation because people keep bringing your equipment back. Then they want to tell me that you don't have good customer service. What's up with that? If this happens one time too many, I'm cutting you all off. That is oftentimes what happens. But for me, if the pros are using it, and if I can call a friend or email a pro and he's going to tell me, yo, I stand by this. I have records that you can refer to. Or, yo, here's a file for you. And in the case of Tony Shepard, I had the files of Ray Davis's as well as Shalia Frazier's music. I'm like, wait a minute. This stuff is no joke. This is no joke. So if I can hear it firsthand, I'm going to take the opinion of a working professional over that of a retailer any day of the week. Because they're going to get their act together. Maybe, and this happens too, maybe they weren't expecting to become the player that they are. You know, to whom much is given, much is required. You know, suddenly you're thrust into the forefront because now you got the bomb diggity, and then everybody's expecting you to come through with the goods. And now you're getting, you know, if something goes bad for whatever reason, oh, I didn't set up the right tech people to take care of this issue. That was one of the things I was saying about Cranborn. I wasn't saying the equipment was whack. I was saying that if by some strange twist of fate it goes down for whatever reason, you need to be able to get on the horn with these people. You know? So what am I going to trust? I'm going to trust the end user who is putting this thing through some heavy lifting on the regular. And there are enough pros out there in the market right now that's producing good music on this equipment that's putting it through its daily paces like a pro would. You know, 12-hour days. Up all the time, every time. You know what I mean? So if your equipment doesn't stand the test of time and abuse, I got an HD system back there, and look at that. That was supposed to last me. So it has to make that money back. Once you make the money back, you're fine. Everything else is profit. It can crap out on me at that point. I can go out and buy another one. Or I can change manufacturers. As long as I'm able to interface with Pro Tools, I'm good. I'm golden. You know what I mean? But make the money back. It becomes less of an issue if you're a working pro. You know? Mick Gazowski was using their equipment. You know? These guys chase pennies. Retailers are in the job of selling equipment. You know? Mick is on UA and then he's on analog. So you just gotta, you know, choose what's gonna work best for you and what's going to give you the workflow, or marry well, I should say, with your workflow. You know. Okay, see, that's again, CR. Thank you, bro, for weighing in. I'm a pro and I use the Cramboard 500A daily over a year. Super solid, highly recommended. I'm sure it is. I will trust the word of anybody putting something through its paces any day of the week. What my criticisms of it was two things. It was new. It looked great on paper. But if you were a pro and there was no pros weighing in like this guy, CR or gal, I don't know, you're new to the live stream, and God forbid you're pushing something that's supposed to be great and it craps out on you, you had better have a second unit. Listen, man, time is money. Time is money. A client ain't here and you don't got a second backup. That's why I have 296 IOs. If one craps out on me, and I've had that happen, suddenly it catches a glitch and all the meters go red on you on one of those. You got to be able to power down, power it back up, and it has to work. If it doesn't, guess what you're about to do? You're about to give that client back their money. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. Your equipment has to work all the time, every time, if you're turning $1 on your profession. Could you imagine you hiring a carpenter and he shows up with no hammers? Well, go to the truck and get your hammers. Oh, I don't have none in the truck. You gonna pay this guy? So my criticism of Cramon was like, yo, what's up with your customer service support in America? You're talking to somebody who owned a British board. I owned the Allen & Heath back in the day. Bought it, highly recommended from the AES recommendation from Allen & Heath, as well as Full Compass. Great board, great for this, great for that, great for the third, highly upgradable. When it came time for me to upgrade that board, suddenly no parts were available. I called Japan, I called the UK, I called all over Asia, I called everywhere, and I called Full Compass as the last resort, and I told them point blank, I will never buy another thing from you all ever again. I have never patronized them another day. They're not getting my money anymore. Why? Because you sold me something that was, inhibiting my workflow. And when you told me it could be expanded, here it is. I go from an 8-track studio to now a 24-track studio, and I can't buy the 2 necessary expansion packs that you said was available. Now I got to go out and sell this thing and had to go out and buy a brand new board. I've seen this play before, man. So, when I was talking about the Cranborn people, yeah, your stuff looks great on paper. It had nothing. My thing was like, who does it work for? People kept asking me. I looked at it, I was like, it doesn't work for me, because I ain't pulling up all this stuff out of my studio just to replace it with that. It's a new install situation as far as I'm concerned. So I think the Cranborn people are great. I think their product looks good on paper. I think it is extremely functional in all that it can do. But what professional can I call tomorrow that I know will say, oh yeah, I'm going to pull up every thing that this thing can do up out of my studio, get rid of it for that. That was what I was saying. It's for new installs, you know. And what is your back-end customer service just in case this thing fails in America? Who do I call? Because I ain't about to call all over Asia and Europe trying to get this problem solved. It's a headache. Dynaudio is the same situation. Great monitors. Buy these monitors. I buy them. They crap out. I'm calling Holland. I'm calling everywhere to get these things repaired. When I finally nail somebody down at TC Electronic, they tell me, oh, just to open them up, $250. What? Just to look at these things? Yeah. But these are professional speakers. They're supposed to take abuse. And suddenly, they can't stand 16-hour days anymore. Nevermore. They're sitting right back in storage. I put them in storage. I can't. I just cannot. So, Art Studios. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up because I have been on blabbing for a little while. 1.5 hours. So, I'm gonna answer one final question. At the Source Studio says, is that the 500 series rack? Yes, the Cranbourne, and it's great. You know, they wanted to get beside themselves thinking I was reviewing. How are you going to review our equipment without using it? I've been doing this since the day of the flood. And I know it won't work for me. I never said y'all stuff was substandard. Never said that. I said it won't work for me. Who will it work for? It will work for a new install circumstances or for someone who wants to swap out all that y'all have to offer for this. That's all. But they wanted to give me hate. And I'm still getting hate mail. Still getting hate mail. But see, y'all on there, these people that be trying to clown a brother, man, and they be wind up you emailing me hate mail. I email you something back and you picking your face up off the floor because I made you look stupid. So stop sending the brother hate mail. You know, because I'm a little quick on my feet when it comes to standing up for myself. You know? You know, well, it wasn't that. Listen, I told him I'm an end user. I'm not a review channel. But the guy became so, listen, I don't want to relive negative stuff. Y'all go back and look at the video. You want to know everything that he said to me, you can go and watch it for yourself. But I'm not going to relive. That was a nightmare situation. Really. Really. It really pissed me off because I was like, yo, they want to clown a brother thinking I'm talking out my face and I don't know what I'm talking about. Then I had to tell him I know what I'm talking about. And I'm about 3 separations or 2 or less from a lot of top entertainers in this business. So don't try and clown me because I know people. And I left it at that. And then once I guess they saw that and I told them, leave me alone. It became that situation. So y'all go see it. Okay. But yeah, that was just unnecessarily, you know, unnecessary situation. But, oh, Mrs. I've had the 32. You had it for 6 months and you got to talk to a brother, man. I thought y'all could have been advised me. Because I'm telling you, when it came to dealing with what I was going to purchase, I honestly was stuck with Apogee. You know, but I didn't want to jump at $5,000, you know, just to be able to. And you know, another thing that why I kept looking at Apogee, the connectivity to Pro Tools was going to be great for me, because with their first gen units, Symphonies, I could connect Pro Tools 8, which was a selling point. This way, I wouldn't have to go with the subscription model. So, you know. Okay. Oh, here's one. I'll take 2 more questions. At the source suits. Yeah, if you want to, brother. Gategore, I'm hoping I'm not messing your name up, but I'm great and happy that you are here. Any thoughts on mixing with headphones? I'm not able to use monitors right now, so I'm looking at some quality headphones for mixing. All right. I know a lot of people swear by mixing with headphones. Call me old school, but here's what I would suggest. You can, if you want, to mix with headphones. Everyone's mileage may vary. But there's this little thing called the Fletcher-Munson curve that I was taught about a long time ago that happens when your ears suck up too much information, you know, in a close proximity, you know. And I might be right or I might be wrong in the way I'm delivering this information in terms of what that means. But I do know this, that your perception, and sometimes you might want to monitor the loud volume, your perception might become a little bit skewed when monitoring loud over headphones. Not to mention, it can be damaging to your hearing. If y'all haven't taken a hearing aid, trust me, take care of your ears. I did when I was younger. You must do so also. Don't be monitoring at loud volumes. It's dangerous. Okay? And if you're relying on your ears for a profession, you're going to need them in the future. So that's part one. Everyone's mileage may vary when it comes to headphones. However, I would suggest you invest in either the powered Avantones or buy yourself some Auratones and a sub. Because if you can get it right, and you don't have to mix loud on Auratones, loud enough with a sub, that is a lethal combination to mix on. Your mixes will translate 99.9% out of the time greatly, because you've referenced the mid-range well and the sub references the bottom end well. The top end will take care of itself. The assault that headphones will put from the top end on your ears directly can be dangerous and will dullen your ability to perceive the top end as you get older. So what's going to happen? Quite naturally, everything is going to sound dull to you. You're going to overcompensate by cranking up more high end on the EQ. Then when you hand it off to the mastering engineer, he's like, yo, why you got, the 16K boosted so high? And why is the 8K, so crispy? Because you're not hearing it like you used to. So, let the buyer beware. You can mix with headphones if you like, but please don't do it at a loud volume. Preserve your hearing, y'all, and get a hearing aid, a hearing test if you haven't done so already. Okay? Mr. Smooth told me he had it for 6 months and didn't even tell a brother privately. Oh, man. I don't know, man. I still love you, brother. Okay, so, any further questions? Because the brother's about to log off. Recap. I bought this beauty. Well, let me show you the box. The Orion 32 Plus, 3rd gen. And it was the quickest $3,000 I have ever spent in my life. Excuse me. It came highly recommended from some people I deeply respect in this business. One of them who also advised me when I was upgrading my Pro Tools system to HD. And I hope to get some good mileage out of it. It interfaces well with my current setup. It has enough I/O for me to even use their software-based matrix patch bay, where I can use hardware within the unit itself with zero latency. That's something that I'm definitely going to put to the test. It sounds great from what I've heard. It became between the Antelope, the Apogee, as well as the Lynx. And I chose this one because it seemed like it would work well with my current computer setup, as well as my current situation in the control room. So that was my choice. I will take one final question. And okay, Geico said, check out those areas. Yeah, do yourself that favor, man. Definitely. You're gonna have to go through some videos. I have Auratone. I have had Auratones since I was a kid. I'll post on the community forum. I think I had to be about, I must have been about maybe 16 in this picture, in the studio writing parts for someone, and right next to me were a pair of brown Auratones where they used to use the screws to tighten up in the back. So I've been, you know, familiar with them for the longest. And when I tell you they're the best way to reference, I'm telling you, the mid section, the mid range, you know, and the bottom end, a sub. Try that combination and tell me it don't work. I'm telling you, it does work. So yeah, Auratones before, for me, Auratones before headphones any day of the week, because Auratones are not loud. You know, they're not loud. You can't crank them. You can crank them, but they sound brilliantly. You know, so they force you to really focus on that middle where the vocal is, where the body of certain instruments reside in the mid-range. You know, so it causes you rather to have to focus carefully on how you reference that area, because the high end takes care of itself. You know, listen, once you hand the mixes off to a mastering engineer, he'll put, oh, this sounds great. I just have to bump up the highs. Then, you know, if you just gave him some latitude to work with at the high end, good for you. You did everything correct. So, heading out to dinner at the Source Studios. I'm glad you stopped by, brother. Really, I'm glad that you stopped by. Honestly, I value your time, and I value everyone's time who stopped to check in and see exactly what I got my hands on. Really, so enjoy your dinner, man. Really. I'll take one more question. Oh, Tim, Talent is in the house. Okay. He has some Beyer headphones that he mixes on, and okay. They show you all the ugly in the mix. Okay, so Tim has the final question, which is my biggest question is, how do I know if and when my space is acoustically treated? Good. You have to use, oh, you know what? You just gave me an idea for a video. But it requires you to have two things. A calibrated microphone so that the mic and not your ears can hear the room properly. Pink noise, a calibrated mic, and the software to tell you where your nodes are in your room. Once you address it from the scientific perspective using the correct technical equipment, I'm telling you, it works. I'm telling you, it works. Because I had the room tuned when I was using this space as my control room in the beginning. I had it tuned because I was doing more vocal music at the time. Now, since I've transitioned to doing more acoustic vibe music, that'll show you all the spots that, and then once I had the room tested, it was like, okay, nah, you got to fix this. So yeah, you definitely need a calibrated mic, pink noise, and the software. So once you shoot the pink noise into the room, it will look, and you put the room dimensions in, it will tell you exactly, oh, you have a node here at this frequency. You need to treat this area with this type of acoustical material to take care of this problem. At that frequency, it's like that. You know, you have to get really anal and surgical about it. You know, and it's worth it because if you're trying to turn a buck, you know, your room is the difference between you making money or not, because people can, you know, when they're sitting between those speakers, they want to know that what they're hearing is the right thing. You know what I mean? Not what you're telling me, what's wrong with, and the bass is oftentimes the biggest issue, you know, but you just gave me an idea for a video, and I'm going to definitely cover that in a future video. So, all right. And with that in mind, to recap, Antelope Orion 32 Plus, I was thinking about the HD version of it. Then I was like, no, because I don't think I'm going to be using powered plugins as it relates to, you know, having the horsepower that an HD system will afford you, you know. And the same went for using a UA system. It didn't give me exactly what I wanted, you know, so this was a good fit. between the I/O, the internal matrix patch bay, digital patch bay that they give you in a software form, and the ability to interface with my current setup was a win-win-win, you know. And then when I heard it, it was like, take my money now, please, you know. So that was it right there. But I just want to wrap up by saying I appreciate each and every one of you for being here, honestly. I know with me, it's more about community, and it's an unfortunate thing that we can't look at each other and have this interaction, because that's what I would prefer. I know that there are ways that you can do that, but then it omits most of the people that I, you know, come in contact with around the world. And I really appreciate those who tune in from Europe, as well as those who tune in from here in America. I appreciate your time, because without you being here, I'm sitting here talking to myself, and y'all know how I feel about that. That is whack. I'm not going to sit here and talk to nobody. So I really appreciate you all for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for stopping by. Again, thank you for tuning in. And if you are here for the first time and have not yet done so, please subscribe. And to each and every one, please say hello to your family for me. I really appreciate you being here. Thanks so much.